Okay, I've been watching this notch form and reform in the Jetstream over and over in this one location just west of California. And I believe I have a good theory now of how they're doing it, and I can already tell you why they're doing it. They want to keep this clockwise flow here and recreate the polar vortex for the winter of 2014-2015. Okay, so today is October 25th, 2014, and firstly, to explain this notch, let me just go ahead and show you the history of this thing. For one thing, we can look at the world map and see how the rest of the world, you can see this notch form here and there, but it blows on through. You know, it's not the kind of thing that forms over and over again. No, like here's a notch that forms, here's a notch that forms, and look, it diminishes, it blows on through. But if you look at the one that forms off of the western coast, that forms and reforms over and over. And the one that I'm going to show you from October 24th actually had one side pinned, and it swung around like a gate. So let me show you that. Here's this, the history of this thing. Go back to October 13, and I just saved a few days. Okay, so October 14th, they've reformed it. 15th, there it is. 16th, there it is again on the 17th. And there it is on the 20th. I missed a couple days there. This is a remnant energy from one of those Japanese typhoons, and they couldn't stop that, so it blew on through. But what they did was they pinned the north end, and they rebuilt a low pressure in the jet stream here. And here's the 24th, and we're back to the present here, the 25th. Sorry, the morning, early morning 24th. So here is the one that got me looking at this last night, because this is a straight line, north-south. It's like a piece of plywood sticking 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere. How do they do that? And I think I know. Okay, now here's the present map, Jetstream map. So basically, they had one end pinned this morning of 24th, and they had it pinned up here, and then this side here actually swung around. So this is the latest map I've got. So first let me explain, from basic meteorology, we know that when you have this counterclockwise movement, there's definitely low pressure here in the northern hemisphere. Has to be low pressure in the jet stream right here. That means rising air. And according to Billy Hayes, the SBX transmitter, which is a 30 million watt microwave transmitter, it can do something like this. And I think that is the culprit here. But the question is, what has caused this on the north end of there? What caused this? And I've got satellite data for that, satellite evidence. Let's go back to goes west, visible light mode, and this is daybreak on October 24. And what we see here is there is a little powerful hurricane type low pressure squall or whatever stationary right there, and it had already been there for like 2 days. Very strange. You know, it doesn't strengthen, it doesn't weaken, and it doesn't move. So here's midday, October 24. Here's late in the day, October 24. It is not moving at all. Maybe I can zoom in, see better. Let me go back. Okay, daybreak, it's right there. Midday, it's right there. Late in the day, it's right there. Now the sun's setting. Absolutely no change all day long. No movement, no strengthening, no weakening. Now the sun actually sets. That is what pinned the north end of this jet stream notch. Let me go ahead and now show. Okay, here's water vapor mode. The same sequence, just in a different wavelength. You can see it's spinning vigorously as the day goes on. Oops. Day goes on and spinning, spinning, no movement. Now after the notch is blowing through, they go ahead and downburst it and kill this. And you can see here, it's actually gone now. So that's what happened at the north end to create that notch. That air was rising from the surface all the way up into the jet stream. And that created the north end of the notch and held it in place. And that little storm had been there spinning for, I believe, 2 days already. And I thought, well, that's odd, but I didn't take any video of it. So we're looking at water vapor mode here. So we cannot see the jet stream directly, but we can see what it's doing to the lower levels of the atmosphere where the water resides. So here we've got a fast flow to the north, and here we've got a fast flow to the south. So right here is this upper level low pressure in the jet stream. Now what happened was, as the day went on, this low pressure high up in the atmosphere started to mix down to the surface, and resulting in a creation of a low pressure here at the surface. If we jump ahead, we can see this thing start to strengthen. It's strengthening more and more. Now we see some rotation. It's really getting some energy here. And okay, here's the last one. Now it's out of control. They did not want this because this is going to bring a lot of rain to British Columbia. They did not want this to happen, so what do? They downburst it. And here we have it being blown apart. It's being blown apart, and now let's see. Again, it's still being blown apart, and now here's Saturday morning, about 12 hours later, or 8 hours later. So this thing here no longer exists, and oh, we have some dry air showing up at lower levels too, and the low pressure has now squeezed out to a different spot, but we don't actually see any rotation here. So that low pressure that had been very energetic suddenly is like smeared out, it's gone. But what happened with the lower end of the notch at that point was that it swung to the east. Okay, so as the surface low pressure built, they let the notch just go ahead and blow on through. Okay, and once we understand that much, then we can understand all this aerosol activity that's going on out in the Pacific and over California. Okay, so here's early morning. The notch is still existing right here, and what they want to do is they want to maintain a high pressure here over the southwest of the U.S., or actually over Baja pretty much. And so they start aerosolizing, spraying chemtrails over this water mass here, because this water will heat. Water vapor heats very strongly in the daytime in sunlight. It's the most powerful greenhouse gas. So this cloud mass is going to turn into a low pressure unless they can put a hot air layer on top, and that's what the aerosols do. So they spray this heavily to prevent this from turning into a low pressure. And as the day goes on, we see more and more of these damn aerosols all over this Pacific vapor trail, and now spreading into California big time. Let me zoom in just so you can see this. This is what everybody was seeing over California yesterday, and this is why they're doing it, to maintain this polar vortex as long as possible. Okay, now those are definitely giant aerosols. Okay, so if we unzoom and go look back out in the Pacific now, likewise, they want to try and maintain this as a high pressure here. And this is all water vapor here. It's going to be heated by the sun. It's going to turn into low pressure. So what they do is they aerosolize this very heavily. This entire mass here is getting aerosol, the hot air layer on top. So these are aerosol trails. All throughout this cloud mass we see aerosol trails. And here's this remnant of the hurricane that hung around Hawaii for like 2 weeks, and you can see it's wanting to spin everything counterclockwise, and the HAARP operators do not want to see that, so we're actually seeing some chemtrails around the outside of this thing. So not showing up too good right here, but anyway, that's the whole strategy here, is that to keep the polar vortex going, they need this notch in the jet stream here. To maintain the notch in the jet stream, you've got to maintain a high pressure to the east and a high pressure to the west. So this is again the weather control extortion program in action. And also this explains the weird jet stream behavior from the winter of 2013-2014 when the polar vortex dominated the weather of the United States. And the only thing the meteorologists could do was come up with snappy catchphrases, calling it the ridiculously resilient ridge. Well, I think this is a good theory that explains how it works. And again, it's the big HAARP transmitter in Alaska, not the little Gakona prototype, but the bigger one that's west of it. That maintains this the stationary low pressure that pins one end of this. It's pinned on one end, and that is the big Alaska HAARP. The SBX, which is a portable sea-based megawatt microwave transmitter, along with other Navy ships which have these megawatt flat plate phased array microwave transmitters, they're the ones that are out at sea creating this upper level low pressure. And according to Billy Hayes, who has 50 years of experience working on HAARP hardware, he says that this is a real thing. The SBX is out there controlling the weather, and the thing's portable, and no one knows where it is. Okay, so this is what they really want to see. They want to hold this pattern all winter long, and this droughts out California, and it literally freezes the eastern half of the U.S. You know, another interesting thing to me is this is pink. This is a very high speed. It's rare to see it, this pink color, and that pink color is 160 to 170 knots. So that's 180 mile an hour wind. The jet stream right here is 180 miles an hour. Holy cow. And yet it's doing this right-hand turn here. You've got to have a big source of air here to have that much speed. This is a weird situation here. You've got this plywood sticking up 10,000 feet in the atmosphere, and yet right downwind of it you got 180 mile an hour wind. Holy cow. But I'd say the downside here is that it still looks like they're experimenting with setting this thing up, optimizing the software, you know, polishing up their supercomputer weather models. And the fact that they're doing it to the United States is because of the 1979 United Nations Environmental Modification Treaty, where it is illegal to do weather warfare on other countries. That's why they're developing all this hardware and software and using it on their own country, because it's not illegal, according to the United Nations Treaty, the NMOD Treaty. That's my take on this. But this also indicates that as they build more SBX transmitters, that this kind of weather control gangster extortion scheme will be played all over the planet Earth. Right now, the folks on the West Coast are the victims, but if this program continues, everybody on Earth will have this kind of weather control happening to them. That was the main points I wanted. So, hope you can take this information and run with it, because we've got to stop this. Absolutely, it's got to stop. Thanks for watching.